So those first two things were something that we did. Now let's talk about number 3, which is something that we're doing and something we've been doing quite a while, and that is... What's up, Lazy Dog fam? Hope all you are having an awesome day. It is Wednesday, May 1st here in South Georgia, and it's been a little while since we've done any figging around, so I figured it was a good time to do that. I'm going to tell you 3 reasons why our fig orchard is looking better than ever this year. Also going to talk a little bit about production windows, when we might start seeing some ripe figs around here. Then I'm going to give you an update on some of the fig varieties we have on our site. So this part of our fig orchard and this part of our fig orchard is looking as good as I can ever remember it looking this time of year. All the trees are just putting on a ton of new growth, lots of beautiful dark green leaves all over these trees. And so I thought it would be a great time to talk about the things we've done and are doing to get our fig trees looking this good at this point in the season. So number 1 would be pruning. I can't emphasize enough the benefits of pruning fig trees. Back during the winter when all our trees were dormant, we did quite a few videos on pruning. We took a chainsaw to one of our big brown turkey trees. We showed you how we prune a young 1 to 2 year old tree and show you how we prune a more established, say 4 to 5 year old tree. And so for comparison's sake, let's do a little flashback to one of those videos and show you how we pruned one of our Canadria trees at say 4 or 5 years old. Show you just how much we cut it back, and then I'll show you what it looks like now. So let me back up here and let you get a good mental image of what this tree looks like, because we're about to hack it back a good bit. So what I like to do first is start off kind of at the bottom here, and I'm just going to cut any of this new growth off the bottom of the tree or around the base of the tree. All right, now that we've got the base of the tree nice and clean there, we'll start working our way up. Now we're not going to cut every single limb that's sticking out here. I'm going to focus on the new growth that I see, because that's what I want for cuttings. And so kind of my strategy here is, if there's a piece of new growth that's long enough for a cutting, I'm going to get it. There's a piece of new growth that's only a couple inches long, a lot of times I'll leave it. And that's what it looks like when we're done. So we took all that there off this Canadria tree, and all that will get chopped up and planted either later this afternoon or tomorrow. So that was back during the winter, and here it is now. Look at how much new growth this tree has added in just a few months. So this tree woke up, say late February, and it's been off to the races ever since. You can see some of those limbs, some of those new limbs there are 2 foot long or so. This thing's been growing like crazy, and we've got significantly more growth off of it from pruning it. Now, it has been my experience that all fig varieties can benefit from pruning, but some really need to be pruned. Otherwise, they don't grow much from year to year. I've got a really good example behind me here. So this Mary Lane variety, which is what we have with the first 3 or 4 trees in this row, is an excellent honey fig variety. But last year about this time, this tree didn't have a lot of new growth on it. It kind of looked like it had just went stale. But now, with some aggressive pruning, it's full of new growth, and I think these are going to be much more productive this year. So prune heavily in the winter months. Don't be scared to do it. Don't be scared to hack those trees back, and you will be rewarded come spring. Now, the second thing we did to get our trees looking so good right now is a late winter fertilizing. So the concept here is to go ahead and get some fertility, go ahead and get some nutrients in the ground, so when these trees do wake up, it's there for them, they can use it and really take off. So that late winter fertilization is something I had played around with in the past, but this year I really laid it to them. So even though we've been growing fig trees for quite a few years, we learn new stuff every single year, and this year I learned that I could hammer down with that late winter fertilizing, and it would certainly pay off. Now, like I've told you before, you can use pretty much any relatively balanced granular fertilizer for that late winter fertilization. Some growers will use something as simple as a 10-10-10 or a 13-13. We use this Coop Grow here because we had it on hand and we really put it to them. So for the older trees in our orchard, like these few behind me here, I probably put down about 5 to 6 pounds per tree. I know that sounds like a lot, but it didn't hurt them one bit, and they are growing really fast. For my smaller 1 to 2 year old trees, I just did a few handfuls. I was a little scared of burning those. I knew these older trees would take it, and I wanted to kind of see just how much we could push them, and it appears we can push them pretty dang hard. So those first 2 things were something that we did. Now let's talk about number 3, which is something that we're doing, and something we've been doing quite a while, and that is watering our fig trees quite a bit. Now I can't speak for those who have clay soils that don't drain very well, but in our sandy soils here, I can really pour the water to these fig trees. We got a little rain last night, but before that it had been a while since we had any, and so I'm running the drip all night, basically every other night on these trees here. I want them to have plenty of moisture in that soil so they can grow as much as they can grow this time of year. So I've just been leaving my water hose hooked up there, except when I need to move it and cut grass. That feeds the entire network of mainline tubing that we have running throughout our orchard. That's going to keep all these trees nice and happy with plenty of moisture. Now, if you just put a fig tree in the ground, yeah, you're probably going to water it at least every other day to keep it happy, but just pouring the water to a really young fig tree like that might not make that big of a difference. But if you've got an established tree with an established root network in the ground, you can really lay the water to it and see some great benefits from it. So all 3 of those things, the pruning, the winter fertilizing, and the heavy watering, has given us significantly more new growth on these trees in the spring. The more new growth you get, the more figs you're going to get. And having some nice healthy trees, for us at least, is going to slow down the onset of rust. We can see a little bit on the back side of that one leaf there, but I'm not seeing a whole lot of it yet. So fig rust is inevitable for us down here. Not all climates are going to get fig rust as bad as we get it, but we're used to seeing it. We know it's going to happen eventually. Those leaves will get rusty looking, they'll fall off, and then the tree will make new leaves and oftentimes a new crop of figs. So it doesn't hurt the tree down here. It's just a product of our environment. We expect it to happen, but with some nice healthy looking trees, we can kind of slow it down a little bit so it doesn't jump on our trees quite as fast. Now if you've got a good eye, you might have noticed earlier that we're already getting some figs forming on the new growth of these trees. This is LSU Tiger right here. You can see old growth, that kind of grayish limb in the background. New growth would be that brown limb right there, and starting to get some figs forming on the new growth. So one thing I did last year was keep a weekly diary of what fig varieties were giving me ripe figs within a given week. And so I've got it all written down in this book here, and at some point when I get some time, I need to figure out a way to graphically put this on our website, because I think it's really cool. So what I did was come out here once a week with my book and walk around, and for every variety that had even one ripe fig on it, I would write it down under that week. And this is good information to have because not all fig varieties ripen at the same time. Some varieties are very early, some are more middle of the season or even later in the season. Some varieties give us one crop, some varieties give us multiple crops of figs throughout the warm season. And so the earliest we got figs down here in South Georgia last year was in the week of June 12th through June 18th. So we probably still got another month or so before we're eating figs around here. And the 4 varieties that were earliest to produce for us were Brown Turkey, LSU Gold, LSU Tiger, and Canadria. Now that doesn't include every single fig variety out there or even every fig variety that we have in our orchard. We've got some younger trees that aren't really producing yet. That's just from the varieties that are giving us figs now. And so if you go from that first week where we only had 4 varieties producing figs into the second week, then we add several more to the list: Italian 258, White Marcel, Salem Dark, Improved Celeste, and then the list keeps getting longer and longer as we get further into June and even early July. And then some of the varieties will slack off a little bit. As they get rust, the leaves fall off, then they'll put on more leaves, more new growth, and we'll get a second, sometimes a third crop of figs on a lot of these varieties. Many of the LSU varieties do give us multiple rounds of production every year. So hopefully at some point I can get that graphically represented on our website. That way you can see which varieties come in earlier, which varieties come in later. If you're going to have multiple fig varieties on your property or your homestead, I think it's neat to have some early, some mid, and some late maturing ones. That way you can eat figs all summer long. And while we're out here, let me give you a little update on our fig tree shipping and our variety availability. So as of a couple days ago, we just finished shipping all the pre-orders that we had received, and now we're shipping fig tree orders as they come in. I usually don't like shipping later in the week because I don't want this tree to be stuck somewhere on a Sunday, so we usually ship trees on, say, Monday or Tuesday from orders the previous week. Now we're still adding more trees to the website every couple weeks. We ship for a couple weeks and then I'll re-inventory all my trees, because every now and then I do have a few that croak, like this one right here. But we'll go through, see what we've got of each variety, update our inventory online. We've added a few new varieties here lately. Added LSU O'Rourke, added Peter's Honey, Salem White, and this Smith variety here. But what's been crazy lately with some of these new varieties I've added, or some of the existing varieties that we've restocked, they're gone before I can even announce it. So before I get a chance to mention it on a video or even send out an email about it, there's folks grabbing these things up. I guess there's people out there, they're just checking the website every day to see if any new varieties have been added or those that have been restocked, and grabbing them up as soon as they can. And that's what happened with this Smith variety here. This is an excellent tasting fig. We added a bunch of these to the website. I didn't tell anybody about them. I didn't put a post on social media. I didn't send out an email, and they just started flying like that. As I'm talking to you now, we do have a couple left, but they could very well be gone by the time this video is published. So if you see something you like, you might want to grab it. I guess that's a good problem to have. I do wish I was able to maintain a more consistent inventory, but we're working on it. Hopefully we'll get there. So my goal eventually, over the long term, is to have trees available year-round. So we would ship trees that look like this during the warm season, and then we would have some nice looking dormant trees that we could ship during the cooler months. Probably going to have to add a greenhouse for that to happen, but we'll work on that later this summer. And before we go, I would kindly ask, if you did order a fig tree from us this year, or maybe even last year, and are happy with it, if you would click on this little Google link in the description below and leave us a review, we would greatly appreciate it. If you ordered a tree from us and are not happy with it, email us at support@lazydogfarm.com, and I'll be sure to take care of you. But if you are happy with your purchase, please do leave us a Google review. That really helps us out. So I hope you enjoyed the video today, and if you've got fig trees growing in your backyard, or you recently purchased a fig tree from us, let me know in the comments below how it's doing. And if you want to learn more about our watering system for our fig trees, which could be used for pretty much any fruit tree, watch this video right here. We'll show you how we installed all this. So check that out. We'll see you next time right here at Lazy Dog Farm.